welcome back to Storytime with Dave Booker. Today is a little informal. I do apologize, but I just heard something today that kind of got me thinking, and I thought maybe I'd give you some information. On April, I believe it's April 8th, there's supposed to be a solar eclipse. I've seen a few. Pretty much everybody just goes outside and put on sunglasses and goes, looks up at the sky. And I understand that that's something that's rare and doesn't happen very often, but it seems there ought to be something more we can do with that time. Well, I looked it up, and one of my favorite authors is Robert Benchley. Not the guy who wrote Jaws. This is his dad. So hold on, let me get a book out. This is called The Chip Off the Old Benchley. It's an old book, about 1930s. And Robert Benchley used to write for the New Yorker and Harper's Bazaar, a bunch of them. And he put up these little 2-3 page things that were basically just humorous vignettes on things, just common things, but with a kind of an off-kilter slant. Now, let me see if I can find this thing. I knew that I had read something somewhere from him. Give me a moment. I should have put a piece of paper in here. Here it is. Plans for Eclipse Day. What to do when it gets dark. So you see, somebody else thought about this. And it's in here. So it's, I just want to read this out to you. Maybe it can give you some ideas of things to do for the eclipse. If you really want to figure out just when and where there will be a complete eclipse of the sun, it is a pretty simple matter. All you have to do is think of a number. The only specification is that it has to be a number with 12 digits. I mean, you must know lots of good numbers of 12 digits. When you have found one, you write it on a piece of paper and hand it to the usher. Then you take the circumference of the Earth and draw out a line from it parallel to the sun's orbit. You may have a little trouble in finding the sun's orbit, but don't be discouraged. Look everywhere. Now this line represents the Earth's shadow. It isn't a very good representation, it's true, but it will do, unless you are an artist and can draw a good shadow. Now put a calendar under this piece of paper. What piece of paper? And trace a line representing the Earth's shadow onto the calendar. When you take off the tracing sheet, you will find that the line points to the exact day of the month when the next eclipse will take place. And in some strange way, as yet unexplained by science, you will also find written in a clear round hand the exact hour and locations from which the eclipse will be visible. This is the most interesting phase of the whole thing. Where does that writing come from? And yet there are people who deny that there are supernatural forces that work in the world. Oh, I forgot to add that if you want to know how long the eclipse will last, you must add 7 to the total, one for each of the days in the week. Now that we have found out that there is surely going to be an eclipse, the next thing to do is to plan how to take advantage of it. It isn't often that right in the middle of the day you get complete darkness, and there is no sense in just sitting around looking blank while the thing is going on. At such times, there is man's work to be done, and England expects every man, etc. In the first place, you can count on practically everyone else being out in the street gaping up at the sky or paying 50 cents to look through a telescope at nothing. You will have the run of the town. Now, this is no small advantage. The only thing is that you will have to work fast, for the eclipse lasts only a few minutes. This will make it necessary for you to decide just what it is you want to do, map out your route, and be ready to start the second the darkness sets in. For instance, supposing that for years you have been repressed, or you have been repressing a wild desire to insult somebody, the president of your local board of aldermen, your wife's father, anybody. Find out where he is going to be at the time of the eclipse, station yourself within 10 feet of him, and just as soon as it gets good and dark, rush up and pull his hat down over his ears, untie his necktie, and then run. By the time the lights are on, or the sun is out again, you can be back at your desk, breathing heavily but very happy. Perhaps you've always wanted to violate the law against smoking in the art museum. Well, very well. Now is your chance. Get your pipe or cigarette all lighted and at the proper moment rush into the verboten territory, take a good dozen drags, and fill the place with smoke. You might even knock a few ashes on the floor. You won't have to run after this, for when it grows light you can hide the apparatus and help the authorities look for the culprit. Another good game would be to hire some accomplices and change all the street signs. This would be more to the nature of a prank and would call for the release of no malicious repressions. It'd be a lot of fun that afternoon to stand on the corner and watch the confusion of traffic with people and cars going up the wrong streets, family men rushing about, trying to find their homes, giving up after 2 or 3 minutes and staying downtown all night. Postmen crying softly to themselves and roaming through Elizabeth Street looking for 114 South Division Street with a lot of undelivered mail. And the whole town in general facing a complete tie-up. It might be necessary to redistrict the whole city or perhaps build an entirely new one 10 miles up the river. Then a few years later at the Board of Commerce meeting, you'd get up and tell everybody of the joke you played to get a good laugh. Personally, I intend to devote myself to a more harmless experiment. For years, I have wanted to wear a silk hat, a bat-wing collar, and a spotted bow tie. I tried it once and was told that I looked terrible. It wasn't just a few friends who told me. Perfect strangers wrote letters to the paper about it and said that it was a disgrace to the city that such a thing should be allowed. A lot of people got up around Robin and sent it to me, reminding of my wife and children. The thing created such a stir that I bowed to public opinion and put the hat away in a box on the top shelf of my closet and went back to the old fedora. But in my heart I knew that I was right, and resolved to wear that outfit once more before the Green Reaper got in his dirty work, in the daytime too. So on January 24th, I will stay at home in the morning and have a simple breakfast of fruit and 1 dropped egg on toast. Then I'll put on my appellate division coat with perhaps a gardenia in the buttonhole, a pair of trousers with a modest stripe, patent leather shoes and gray spats, a white waistcoat and a batwing collar with a spotted bow tie. Then we'll have my man ready at the door to hand me my silk hat and stick when the time comes. At the very first sign of darkness, I will start out on a brisk trot up the street, covering the block bounded by Madison Avenue, 44th Street, 5th Avenue, and 45th Street. If I see that things are working out all right, that I have plenty of time, I may slow down to a walk, or even a saunter, swinging my stick when I get on 5th Avenue. I pace the distance out in my regular clothes and find that I can do it in about 5 minutes or under, for the track is fast. This will bring me back to the house just in time to escape the full light of day, and yet I guess enough people will see me to give the thing that spice which danger lends to an exploit of this kind. I don't care about the elevator man. He's paid to take people up and down in the elevator, and it's none of his business what they look like. He's used to masqueraders anyhow. The only trouble with this plan for the Eclipse day is that it may not be entirely dark during the event. Can't find anyone who knows exactly about that. It may work out to be merely like a very cloudy day, and in some sections of the country, of course, there won't be a complete eclipse visible at all. This would make it rather difficult to get away with anything spectacular, like kissing Peggy Hopkins Joyce. And at any rate, the very fact that there is an eclipse going on at all will give you an excuse for knocking off work for a few minutes. So that's just, I thought of that when I heard about the eclipse. Thought I'd read that out to you. If you can think of anything really unusual or different to do during the eclipse that's coming up, let me know. Put it down in the comment section. Who knows, we might be able to get a whole big group of people doing something unusual for the event. So I look forward to seeing what you say, and have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye. I can't see.